All right, welcome into Barbecue for Newbies. I'm your host, Kurt Mueller, joined today by Mr. Kolby Bowers with the Rollin Kolbs team. And Kolby comes to us out of Bethlehem, Georgia. It was actually introduced to me by a mutual friend, Derek Johnson, with Sweet Dixie Q. So we're glad Kolby's on the show. Kolby, welcome. Thanks for taking the time.
Man, I appreciate you having me, Kurt.
So, as I always like to do, I love to chat about Journey. I love to chat about how people that I connect with got into this, and just love to hear more about that and learn more about that. So, what's your journey like, Kolby, into this crazy world of barbecue?
Oh man, it's crazy, no doubt. I was in school, in college. I always, kind of liked to cook. Grew up, cooking, I guess you would say, here, there, and then got to college. You sit around with buddies, grill rolling, and so then my now wife, when we started dating, one weekend, we were in school, and she said, "Hey, I'm gonna go home this weekend. My dad's cooking in a barbecue contest." And I was like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, he's been doing it for years, and stuff like that. And he's got a contest this weekend, so I'm gonna go home. You want to go?" I was like, "Heck yeah, man! I'm down. I want to go see what this is about." So we had been dating for a little while then, and there was a contest in Lawrenceville, Georgia. It was the Rock and Rib Bill. This is looking back at it now. I had no clue what was going on, but man, they need to have that contest again. The atmosphere is electric. I mean, it is just good stuff. And I remember, man, we got there like just about 12 o'clock, right as turn-ins were going. And man, he's getting after it, and I was like, "This is pretty cool." I mean, he been doing it since the early 2000s, so he definitely wasn't an amateur. And I was like, "Man, this is cool." So went to a couple more here there over time, and next thing I know, he had went to Banjo BQ that time, and was checking out the Rec Tech guys, and we started looking. He's like, "Man," so I asked the question, what would it take? Well, I'll cook backyard. You're on the pro side. Heck, I'll cook backyard, no problem. So um he's like, "Man, I think you could do okay if you just had a pellet smoker. Find you a pellet smoker. It was pretty inexpensive, starting at least." And so, man, I went to Academy, bought me two pellet smokers, Air Brand, the Titan. I mean, it's cheap. And first contest I cooked would have been in 2019 at Jasper. Is the year of the flood. If anybody that watches this that was there, they'll know what I'm talking about. I'm under a tent. My coolers are 7 miles away after this rain comes through. How the tent stayed in place, I have no clue. So I end up taking everything I've got and putting it back on the landscape trailer, cooking off of that, and it was crazy. But that's kind of where I got started, and then from there, I cooked some backyard contests the rest of that year, and which was only like two, I reckon. And then the next thing I know, me and my dad have bought a 24-foot or 26-foot trailer, and with a gravity feed and another pellet smoker, and it just kind of escalated from there. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a not very cheap ride, of course, but man, it's interesting for sure. But man, it's been fun, to say the least.
So you guys are it's you and your father cooking. That's the team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if something happens at turn in and there's sauce on the inside of that box, it's gonna be his fault because it goes by him before it goes. I mean, he makes sure he likes to build the boxes, and he takes care of them as I'm building them. He'll keep things cleaned up and getting us ready and stuff like that when I get back from turn ins, and just kind of keeps things going and flowing. So man, it's fun. There's a lot of things you can do, and stuff like that. But it's just fun to, take that weekend, get done on Friday, get to a contest, and spend a little time with Dad, and just go cook some barbecue, man. It's kind of, a lot of people go to the pool, go to the beach, go here, go there to clear their mind and take it easy. But man, that's when I step on that trailer on Saturday morning, it's and them drums get fired up. It's like everything you think of during the week, it leaves me. I
That's
guess
right.
it's my meditation,
That's right. It's your
So it's
therapy.
yeah, that's right. I
It's your
mean, I
therapy.
just that's exactly right. I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm as competitive as they come. So it don't matter if I cook 5 contests when I leave the house. I think I got a chance to win it every time. I mean, at
I
least I
love
try
it.
to try to tell myself that, because it's hard, man. These cooks are I mean, just since 2019, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it
Hmm.
is so hard. It's so hard to be so consistent, and I mean, the ones that are winning, it's who puts in the homework and spends the time. So
That's
no doubt.
exactly right. So you mentioned drums. So is that your setup now? Are you cooking on
Yeah,
drums?
yeah. We went from the pellet cookers, and don't know really why we got away from 'em. I mean, I enjoyed them. I cooked like 3 contests at 2019. We went to Sip and Swine Cook Backyard that year. It was a hilarious story. This guy from the festival, it's a huge festival, and
Mhm.
we've got our 2 pellet cookers set up. And this guy, he wasn't even in the contest. He wasn't a cook or anything. He just come by and he's like, "Y'all think y'all can win this contest cooking on those easy bake ovens?" And I was like, "Well, we're gonna try." And just so happened we ended up going reserve on the backyard side that day. And
There you
I
go.
was like, "Oh man, I wish I could find that guy." But
Yeah,
yeah, so my brownies are done.
there you go.
uh,
Now, when did you make that jump? So when did you make that transition over to the drums? Was that recently?
well, I ran those, and then when we bought our trailer, it had a Stumps gravity feed on it, just the standard classic, and then it had a pellet smoker on it, Smoking Brothers. And we cooked the rest of that year. We ran across that trailer. It was a heck of a deal, and
Hmm.
we ended up buying it, and we ran that the rest of that year in 2020, which wasn't much, with everything going on. But the few that we did do, we ran it on that, and then I was cooking like crazy on the Stumps, and for me, it just wasn't my style. I mean, I'm a busybody. I mean, anybody that, like South Carolina, at the Festival of Discovery, me and Derek, we kind of teamed up. It wasn't a GBC cook, and we kind of wanted to try and go at it, see what we could do. And I mean, he'll tell you. I mean, when I get going, I don't want to sit still. I feel like if I'm not doing something, I'm getting beat. If something, I'm taking a chance of getting beat if I'm not doing something, because somebody probably is.
Right.
And man, those drums, I mean, I can get in there every 15 minutes, and that was just more my wheelhouse.
Yep.
You open the door on that big Stumps, and it takes it a minute to get back going. And I like the style of cooking the hot and fast. I mean, the flavor of that hot and fast, I mean, it's just incredible. And when we made the switch over, we had talked about it. I'm glad we did. I mean, I can honestly say that last year, we were fortunate enough to be Rib Team of the Year on the GBC side. And
Nice.
that was by far, I think a lot of that had to do with the drums. I mean, the way they were cooking, the flavor, how consistent. I mean, I just figured out a little routine, going back to consistency. I just found something that was clicking. And if I wouldn't have had them drums on the trailer, I don't know that it would have happened,
That's
because
right.
So, but yeah, we run 4 now. We run all 4 meats on them. We had talked about having the pellet cooker, this and that, but I just, the flavor on those drums give that meat. It's just, I don't know. It's second to none to me. I can't get away from it.
No,
Plus,
it's good. I mean, it's
I can't sit still quick enough, for 15 minutes. So
yeah,
I enjoy that part of it too. It helps me. So
they are fun to cook on. There's no doubt. And, I love what you said about just your journey. You started on some pellet smokers, then you went to a gravity feed and now you're on the cans. And I think one of the biggest things, my takeaway from that is that, there's always this debate. It's like a bunch of men arguing about cooking equipment, which is kind of funny if you think about it. But, you hear all these different opinions out there. And I think it was Kerry Chastain actually that said it on this show. And he said something to the effect of, it's not the cooker, it's the cook.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's important to camp out on that for a sec, because, I get questions a lot from folks that want to get into barbecue. They want to get into, competition barbecue. And, they ask 20 people and they get 20 different opinions on what kind of smoker they should have. And if they ask me, my answer is, it's the one you know how to use the best.
That's exactly right. Oh yeah. I mean, that's, we went from, like you say, I mean, we've cooked on pellet cookers to, the gravity fed to, my father-in-law. He doesn't cook anymore, contests. He just doesn't have time. He actually opened a barbecue restaurant and get to help out there a lot and stuff. And I mean, we got a big offset there. So, I mean, plus a gravity fed there also. So, I mean, it's, yeah, I think all of those cookers have their place, but they're all going to win. Somebody's going to cook on them. And any given weekend, a gravity fed may win, offset. The guy that's putting sticks on the fire or loading the pellet hopper or, lighting that basket in that drum, he's the guy that's winning. That's the guy that's putting in, he knows what he's got to do on that cooker to be successful that day. And that, I'm kind of with you on that. Just pick what you like. I mean, I've been beat by pellet cookers numerous times, so
yeah.
They've got their spot. I mean, so I don't know. I'm with you on that. I think it's the guy standing behind it, that's managing that cooker. That's the guy that needs to be, he's the one that's going to beat you 9 times out of 10.
That's exactly right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. And it's just interesting to me. There's all these, all these different opinions, and everybody's got their, like you said, every smoker, every cooker has its place, and get to know it, learn it, figure out its hot spots, all that fun stuff. But don't get too caught up in the, in the hype about. They all have their drawbacks, right? They have their advantages and they have their disadvantages. And if I had a couple $1 million, I think I might have one of each of them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's just like, I mean, just from cooking on all those different ones, talking about the stunts, that was the only thing that, you got those coals coming down that side, on the classic, that side runs a little hotter. So, I constantly found myself kind of scooching things over and moving around and stuff like that. And I mean, that's what, it doesn't matter if you're cooking on to me at least, if it's a drum, it's maybe a pellet cooker, wherever, if it's got to be moved around, it's got to be moved around, so
it is what it is. That's right. So
yeah,
you guys
you just got to know what you can do with it.
So you and your dad, you guys took first place in GBC last year in ribs.
We did.
So now,
it was.
Is that your favorite thing to cook? Is it ribs?
No, it's not.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
I actually, I like ribs. I think that ribs are a hard meat to cook. the likelihood of you cooking 3 or 4 racks at a contest off the same, off 2 pigs is very, it's kind of like cooking chicken.
Yeah.
You've got 16 pieces of chicken, and even the likelihood of them coming off 8 birds is completely different.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're probably cooking 16 thighs or 16 legs from 16 different birds, and it's the same thing with ribs. I mean, trying to find 4 that are going to cook the exact same, it is very tough. For me, but me personally, I like cooking pork. I mean,
Yep.
That's probably my favorite thing to cook. I don't know why. I enjoy cooking brisket too, but I haven't tied the right things together to get the calls that I need in brisket. Brisket's kept me out of it. I mean, quite a few times,
Yeah.
and but just trying to with that pork, man, I don't know. I just love it. That's what, we were lucky, we got fortunate enough to win Rib Team of the Year and got on a little bit of a streak toward, from the summer to the end of the season last year. And well, really about this time we cooked the GBC Throwdown, got on a little run there that summer, and then went into Savannah and got a little hot right there. I think we won 80 ribs there. So, I couldn't have been more proud. I was pretty happy. It wasn't, I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to, but I mean, I made the switch from pro, last year. In 2021, I started the season again in backyard and at Sip and Swine, and we went reserve grand 2 years in a row there on that side. And I kept tasting my food, and I'd cook on the weekends, and I'm like, I cooked with my father-in-law that weekend. He cooked as his team that he had always cooked under at Sip and Swine. He cooked the pro side, and I just kept telling myself, I was like, if you win chicken, win this, you win that. I mean, money's not everything, obviously, in this sport, but
Yeah.
If you can go win $500 for winning a chicken category versus 100, I mean, that goes a long way. You're talking a tank of gas. And my biggest thing, yes, money was a little bit, how the payouts and stuff work, but just finding places to cook, man. I wanted to cook. I mean, the fire was lit under me.
Yep.
I wanted to go. I was trying to find everywhere and anywhere that I could, and there just weren't that many backyard contests. And first pro contest I did was Gadsden, Alabama. We were middle of the pack. I got DQ'd in pork. I was late.
Really?
Yeah, I was late. It was the first time that had ever happened. It was very, it's a matter of time. It's not a matter of, if it's going to happen. It can happen to anybody. I mean, so, but I learned from it. I learned, hey, we gotta tweak some things. We gotta make some things happen. And from that point forward, last year we went on a little run in pork right there, and I thought that was the category that was going to be pretty good, as far as the GBC points, and then ribs kind of came out of nowhere. So me and my old buddy Brian from the Atlanta barbecue store, we were back and forth. It was a fun little time, man. It really was in the pork category. He was winning, I was back and forth, and all that stuff. So it was a good little time, but yeah, I thought pork was going to be the one that we ended up winning in, and then it turned out being ribs because last contest of last year, I kind of blew it. I overcooked the pork a little bit, and I had to take a 14th for my 5th score, and it took me out of it. So
yeah, that'll do it.
But it was good. It was a good time. I finished second in that deal and win ribs. And just cooking 6-7 contests, and that first time we had jumped over into the pro side. I mean, I learned a lot. I had no clue who anybody was really. I mean, I knew that your bigger guys and, your Brads and Tim and Rooters and Tutors, Smokey, Silly, Carey, all those guys, stuff like that, and a lot more that I'm missing. But that was hard on that backyard side. It's like, man, I don't know if I can beat those people. But then when you do cook that contest and you got that score sheet back, and it's like, holy cow, I beat them. This can be done. It's anybody's game. Every Saturday is different. I mean, you just gotta go with your gut and, kind of do what you know. I mean, that's me and Derek went to South Carolina. I cooked pork there with him, and it didn't turn out the way, the score sheet didn't go the way we wanted it to. But man, I'd cook that pork tomorrow. I'll cook that pork in Savannah.
That's right.
I just you got to get behind what works and just stick with it. To me, what I found was, if I tweak here and I tweak there and I tweak at this contest and I tweak at the next one, I have no way of knowing what's working and what's not. So, just find something, roll with it, and it'll pay off for sure. I always I've actually got a sticker in my trailer. When I first started out, my father-in-law, he said barbecue, I know it stands for BBQ. He said, but barbecue, competition barbecue, should stand for AAOC. And I was like, what? And he said, you got to be able to adapt and overcome in competition barbecue, because something at some point is not going to run smooth every time you go out there. And how you handle the situation, and if you can adapt and overcome that situation, that'll take you to the top. If you can adapt and overcome the issue that's happened, then you can go to the top pretty quick, and it can set you apart from somebody that maybe doesn't. And I just kind of kept that to myself. I was like, every time, I'm in Savannah last year, I drop a rack of ribs in the fire basket of a drum and grab them out real quick, then go in. I was going to wrap and ended up 180 in ribs that day. So,
There you go.
Staying calm goes a long way in competition barbecue, because if something's going to come across when, you're going to be like, well, we're done, and just keep going, man. It's real easy to get frustrated, and when things don't go exactly how they're supposed to. But if you can just adapt and overcome and just kind of keep trucking along, man, I think that can carry you a lot of times, for sure.
That's right. I've heard, it's kind of funny. I've heard from a lot of different people that you win or lose a competition in the last 10 or 15 minutes before turn in. Kind of like, it's kind of like sports, football game, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's when the game's decided. And I never really thought of it that way, but it's absolutely true. And the second thing that I was thinking of as you were chatting, it reminded me, I don't know if you're keeping up with that Barbecue USA show on Food Network.
Oh yeah.
So I caught episode 3 last night. So I'm a week behind, but I caught the episode where they were down in Texas. Right. And, they had 3-time KCBS Team of the Year, getting basted, Brad Leininger down there, and he's getting filmed. And he has, pulls a bold move out on his pork, goes pork steaks, which is a Missouri thing. Well, that's where I'm from. And, it didn't work out like he wanted it to, but I thought what was interesting is he got a couple calls, but overall, this is the 3-time Team of the Year. Overall, he finished 18th,
right.
And it didn't phase him one bit though. It's like, okay, well, I'm not happy about 18th, but 60 teams out here, I'll take it.
Right.
But I guess going back to your point, like, you never have to get down on, you shouldn't get down on yourself, and you need to keep, like you said, stay calm and stay in the game, because you just don't know what kind of table you're going to get. You don't know what kind of judges you're going to get. and there was another chicken fried barbecue on that third season. Bill Purvis had another great segment where he talked about, if we think the turn-in box is great, it's probably not going to score well. And if we think it's terrible, we get a 180.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. I try to tell myself, you think about the tables and the judging and stuff like that, but I just try to think about, okay, there's a trailer to the left of me and there's a trailer to the right of me. And just because I've made a mistake here, that doesn't mean that there's not 3 mistakes in that trailer or 5 mistakes in that trailer. So if I've only made 1 and they've made 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, maybe you're not that bad off, and you just don't know what the person next to you is doing that morning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they may not be having the best cook either. So, I mean, there's no reason to let dropping ribs in the fire basket of a drum, get you 2 down, So,
well, at least it wasn't.
It's hard not to do for sure. But, I learned a lot that day for sure. And that was just, keep your head down and, just like anybody, if you're playing sports, like you said, keep your head down and don't quit until the last second, because you just never know what's going to happen.
That's exactly right. You just never know. And hey, at least you didn't drop those ribs in that fire basket 5 minutes before turn in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's exactly right.
It worked out okay. All right. So let's chat about cooking at the house.
Yep.
So what's your favorite thing to cook at the house?
Oh man. I'm kind of like DJ. I like Derek, man. I like a good burger. I grew up, we raised show pigs and stuff like that. And so we always had ground pork laying around and stuff like that. But man, I love a good pork burger. I don't know,
Ooh.
some soy sauce and some good seasonings. Man, it's good. It's good.
Now, what kind of season? Tell me about those seasonings you're hitting it with. What kind of rubs are you hitting that burger with?
I like, man, I tell you, like on a pork burger, I love it's crazy. It ain't even in the name, but man, I love some Blues Hog Bold and Beefy on a pork burger. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Something about it, man. It's good. It is so good. I like those pork burgers, but I like some grilled chicken too, man. I like to take, like some leg quarters or some halves and kind of cook them similar to the way we do in contests, but, maybe let them get a little more smoke on, a little more char, and then toss them over in a pan and just get them covered up. And, man, I love that too, man. I love some chicken halves, leg quarters, stuff like that. So.
And you just gave me a great idea. I think I'm going to start taking my leftover comp trimmings from the pork and just grind them up.
Oh yeah.
And make some
good.
And make some pork burgers. That's awesome, man. So
it makes a good lasagna too.
Ooh, I bet it does. Good. Well, what's a good way for our listeners to connect with you? Where are you on social media?
Man, I just got I've got my personal account on Facebook and Instagram. It's just my Instagram is Kolbys47, and then my Facebook is just Kolby Bowers. So, yeah.
There you go. You heard it right there. The GBC Team of the Year in Ribs, the Rib Team of the Year GBC 2021, Kolby Bowers with Rollin Kolbs out of Bethlehem, Georgia, and he's making big waves. And for our listeners, Kolby's about 2.5 years into this journey. So you can begin to see that for a lot of these guys, they just rip the Band-Aid off, so to speak. They jump in head first and they learn on the fly. So we appreciate him coming on the show. Kolby, I've enjoyed it, my friend, and I look forward to meeting you in Savannah because I'll be down there too.
Awesome, man. That sounds good, man. Just get out there and go cook. You never know what's going to happen.
That's exactly right.